This is perfect if you're a beginner or if you're just starting into the world of junk journaling, to give as a little gift for someone who wants to get started with junk journaling and doesn't want to get overwhelmed with the bigger journals.
When I close my eyes, I see beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too.
The story of Aurelia all began and grew little wings the moment I laid eyes on a stack of antique books. I took a drive and I went to a local antique shop, and in the corner of a booth I came across these beautiful floral Victorian books from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and when I took a closer look and inspected it, it turned out to be Victorian wallpaper. And the more that I looked at the covers, the designs, and the beautiful imagery inside, I knew I needed to take these books, the images that they had inside, and turn them into a story. Coming across these antique books that have stories that began to be told and are meant to be finished using our imagination, our papers, our fabrics, and continuing to tell their story through their beautiful imagery and the details of this Victorian time. So I am inspired by all of my antique and Victorian books, and I want to use them as the covers to begin a story that I think deserves to be told. I am so excited to turn these beautiful books into journal covers that you yourself can print out and customize to create whatever journal and whatever story that your heart imagines. It's going to be a huge project, but I am so incredibly inspired. The first story of this series is going to be this beautiful green Victorian book. It matches the color palette, the essence of the newest sister. The story of our sweet Aurelia belongs in this book. For a while, I was looking for the perfect color palette, the perfect book cover for her story. She loves being in nature. She loves being surrounded by purples, marigolds, olives, and greens. And when I came across this gorgeous Victorian book, I knew that her story was meant to be told in this precious piece of history. There's elements of her story throughout the newest digital kit. The idea of being as free as a butterfly and finding your place wherever you feel the most comfortable. We're going to build the story together. So let's take our imaginations and see all of the beautiful journals and books that we're going to be creating inspired by this beautiful Victorian book from the 1900s. I wanted to capture her story in not just one book, but in 3, and also using my other antique books to turn them into her pocketbooks. So this series is going to have many different books of different sizes to tell this beautiful story that I hope inspires all of you, and that hopefully you can see yourself in the personality traits of our sweet Aurelia. So I decided to transform and enhance this Victorian book where some of the paint was chipping, some of the colors were fading, and I decided to turn it into a beautiful journal cover. I wanted to give that Victorian book that was starting to rust a new life. In this series, we're going to be creating her big journal, a pocketbook, as well as a tiny book. So from one story, we're creating 3 different books, filling it up with similar papers and ephemera pieces. When thinking of Aurelia and the story that would be told, using that beautiful Victorian cover, I wanted to capture her personality in ephemera pieces. Taking a look into Aurelia's story, letters written to her from her other sisters, sentiments that the birds have whispered to her, butterflies that she has found in nature and turned them into embroidery, a picture of her when she was a little girl, to now a picture of her as a young lady, pressed flowers that she took from a hydrangea bush, buttons that she would use on her dresses, a darling bird pocket mirror that she would carry in her purse to remind her of the love that she has for the birds, a lovely hanky that her mother gifted to her when she was little, a beautiful paper doll that her mother made for her, where she keeps her thoughts and her memories of her childhood safely and protected in her journal, the cutest little paper doll that matches her personality, her color palette, and reminds her of her childhood self, a lace envelope that her grandmother made for her with some beautiful embroidery, her little purse where she would keep notes tucked away of the flowers that she would find, as well as the little birds that she would sketch, a pocket to hold her golden memories. I wanted to capture the innocence of Aurelia when she was little and the beautiful nature of her now that she's a young lady. Her favorite colors of purples, golds, greens. She loves being surrounded by flowers, by birds, by pieces that remind her of her sisters and her childhood. Since we have a pocketbook version of Aurelia's story, as well as a tiny book version, there's also mini-sized ephemera pieces. This is the normal size of the paper doll, and this is the size for the pocketbook, and this is the size for the mini book. 3 different sizes of ephemera pieces, papers, and the journal cover to tell the story of our sweet Aurelia. They're absolutely precious and so beautiful. Tiny little ephemera pieces for a little mini book. You have the little embroidery hoop, everything. All of these ephemera pieces come in 3 different sizes so that you can customize them. You can create your own little Aurelia story in any size that you'd like. I also created decorative tags using all of the different papers from this collection, little mini pockets out of the decorative papers, the cover, the ephemera pieces. And of course, I had to create little mini versions of the pockets as well as the tags. So in the tiny Aurelia journal, you not only get ephemera, but also little tiny tags and pockets. All of the details that the larger journal offers, but in a little tiny size. Perfect for making mini journals. Just look at this little hanky tag. All of the tiny ephemera pieces match each other perfectly in size, so the little pockets actually can be used to hide your little tags, or even your little butterflies, or even the little button card. To help tell Aurelia's story a lot easier, I created pieces of her journals and the scrapbook that I imagined she would have. Pressed flowers from her garden, an illustration of a bird that she drew, similar to my mother's diary, my sweet little red home by the pond, as well as one of her favorite fabrics that she saved into her journal. She also wanted to share with us a piece of her beautiful Victorian wallpaper that her bedroom walls are covered in. And of course, I had to include her beautiful journal papers of her scrapbook in a pocketbook form, which is like a field note size. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I could not restrain myself. This was the cutest thing to design. All of the tiny ephemera fits perfectly on the pages of this journal kit, and they all come together in one kit. So all of the tiny pieces come in one digital kit. The field note size comes with its own ephemera pieces and papers that match the size. Everything is sized perfectly, so it's not only adorable, but it's also extremely functional if you love creating little tiny journals. Every journal collection needs envelopes, and so I have 2 versions of envelopes this time. Some fancy scalloped envelopes, and I also created envelopes with a more rounded scalloped edge on the top and on the sides. I hope that all of us can see a part of ourselves in Aurelia's story. These are the elements of Aurelia's story when she was little, and Aurelia when she's grown up and to be the woman that she is today. For this particular video, I'm going to share with you how to create a Victorian style book super easily with just a sheet of paper. All you're going to need is the field note size version of the kit, as well as its coordinating papers. Now you can use this super easy method of basically creating a little booklet with any kind of paper, any digital that you'd like. It fits perfectly in your hands, and I'm going to share with you how easy it is to make a little notebook that mimics a Victorian book. Since we're going to be using the journal cover that's already made, all I'm going to do is fold this in half. By folding it in half, I already have the shape and the look of a Victorian book cover because of the beautiful digital. It's already done for you. I have folded all of my pages in half, and I have glued the inside page so that they all have a beautiful side. For my journal cover, I definitely need to decorate the inside as I did not print this double-sided. So I decided to take one of the envelopes. This is the middle of the envelope, this is the bottom, and then this is the top. I cut it into 3 parts, and I'm going to be using both of these to create a side pocket, and I'm going to be using the remainder of the envelope as the back piece for the inside cover. Now that I have glued it down, I'm going to cut off the excess. And now on the back side, I'm going to glue this piece of paper and then also attach this piece of paper, but glue just the bottom and the top. And I have attached both the inside, beautiful floral paper on the cover, and on the back of the inside cover, I've attached the edge of the envelope in order for us to have a cute little tuck spot on the back. I am going to open up our sweet little book that we made, and I'm going to pass it through my sewing machine. So I just finished passing it through my sewing machine, and I also rounded all of the corners with my little corner rounder. Now you don't have to do that step, it's not necessary, but I really like the finished look that it gives. You can go ahead and pick and choose the ephemera pieces that you want to decorate the inside of the journal with. I'm going to be using this sweet little pocket. I printed out all of the ephemera pieces from the pocket-sized kit. Sweet little envelopes and the sweet little pictures. I'm going to be attaching them onto the actual pages so that you can see how all of the ephemera pieces will look like once they're inside of the book. We're only using the journal pages from the kit. I'm not using any of the decorative papers nor any antique or vintage pages, as I want to share with you how easy and simple it is to make just one simple notebook or a journal using the elements of just one kit. I'm going to attach this pocket right along there on the first page. I would love to actually include like a little flower on the edge, and then from that I can tuck some ephemera in there. So I think that'll be a really sweet touch. I have the tiny little envelope that comes in the ephemera kit. I'm going to add some glue on the back, and I'm going to attach it right along here. Now you can easily attach it with a paper clip so that you don't have to glue both sides down, but I think that this will be fine. In our other journals, I won't glue this side down so that we can see both of the beautiful sides of this darling little envelope. And that sweet envelope will have inside a darling letter that was written to Aurelia from one of her sisters. And it fits perfectly inside of that sweet little envelope. So this is Aurelia's field note size pocketbook. My idea for this is to include this journal along with the larger one. As they have the matching covers, it feels so nice in your hand when you open it up. Gorgeous paper on the inside. Here in this little pocket, and attached on the little paper clip, is one of the little butterflies from the kit that I have fuzzy cut that can fly away. And then in the pocket, a pocket of golden memories. And inside of the pocket, I thought it would be sweet to include both pictures of Aurelia when she was a little girl and then now that she's a young lady. And then you can do some journaling, turning that page over. One of the Victorian die cuts that represents one of her purple hydrangea bushes and her favorite yellow butterflies. I love that this butterfly looks as if it's three-dimensional. My sweet little red home by the pond. On this page, I used one of the purple hydrangea pressed flowers of the kit, cut it off, attached it on the corner, and included on the inside the little button card from her yellow buttons, my pressed flowers from my garden. It's that same beautiful little lace card that is on the paper. On this page, I used the sweet little embroidery hoop as a little text spot. And in the text spot, I have the journaling card that says, "What do the birds tell you?" And then I also have one of her paper dolls that her mother made for her. I've attached the front to the back, trimmed around it, and created a sweet little flip so that you can do secretive journaling right underneath the sweet little paper doll. That beautiful paper that's on the inside cover, her illustration of a darling bird. I've attached the little pocket mirror on a paper clip, as I don't know if I want to glue it onto the page just yet. And the final page has this darling little envelope. And when you lift it up, you can see the sweet little letter that her sisters wrote to her. Attached on this little clip is a little note. And then on the side pocket, I have included her sweet hanky that her mother gifted to her. You can do secretive journaling and then have that right inside that little text spot. So that is what's inside of my pocket-sized Aurelia journal. This is the easiest way and version of creating Aurelia's story into a journal. For the next video, I'm going to be taking the regular-sized journal cover as well as the tiny one. Can you only imagine? Like, look, it's smaller than this one. It's going to be the most precious little Artist in Bloom journal I've ever made. This is perfect if you're a beginner or if you're just starting into the world of junk journaling. This is perfect to give as a little gift for someone who wants to get started with junk journaling and doesn't want to get overwhelmed with the bigger journals. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you guys loved taking a look into how I create Aurelia's pocketbook. All of the digitals that I used, all of the new collections will be linked below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you guys have an incredible day, and I will see you very soon. Sending you so much peace and so much love your way. Like a little butterfly. A little butterfly sends you so much peace and so much love.